Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the EmpowerMAN podcast. It's your boy, Mikey G, coming to you live from the free state of Florida, the very free state of Florida, where we've had some very inclement weather the last 3 days. It's been windy, rainy. So I'm very grateful that we have internet service, that I have internet service. So
Baby hurricanes.
Seriously, it woke me up last night. But speaking of hurricanes, the man I'm looking at is a category 5, if I were to classify him as a hurricane. This guy is the personification of masculinity. He is the captain of testosterone and a champion of hormone replacement therapy. He is the man who was the inspiration behind that song years ago called My Humps, because he squatted over 400 pounds. He's my friend. He's your friend. He's the patriot. He's the champion of Second Amendment. He's my boy and yours. Let's get up for the one and only Greg A. Tedora, #1. Sir, how are we doing today?
Cheers, Mike. I'm doing good. I was never a good squatter. You know that? You're good at squatting. I'm not that good. I'm good at leg press, but not squatting. Yeah. But those days are over.
Yeah, but you did legs a lot.
I still do.
And from what I remember back in the day, you made those ladies scream with your humps. Your lovely,
Yep.
You drove them crazy with your humps.
Yeah, Fergie wrote that song, so there you go.
She wrote it for you.
Yeah.
She wrote it for you because she couldn't have you.
That's right. She couldn't have me.
Because that's what we do. If we can't have somebody, we write a song about them.
Yeah. That's right. That's why I have no songs.
And I have a whole library in my safe. Oh, yeah. I have rap versions. I've got instrumentals. I've got country
remixes.
Remix. So, Greggy T, I'm loving that hat, sir. Where can we find that hat? Or if I wanted to buy one, what could I access to find that hat?
This is a oldie. This is one of my favorites. It's Rogue American Apparel. I think they're down in Texas. Pretty cool stuff. This is the death card on here. So, shout out to those guys. They make some cool stuff.
Yep. And I'm wearing Sweetness #34, Walter Payton. Yeah. One of my favorites growing up, rootsofight.com.
They make great stuff, man.
They got great stuff. Half my stuff comes from them and Nine Line.
Yes.
So those are my two companies. And I love their apparel. As customary, want to give a shout out to our policemen and women, our first responders, our EMTs. Thank you for keeping our community safe and sound.
And absolutely. And a special shout out to all the military personnel out there, their families. Thank you for your service, and watch your backs out there. Be careful.
Yeah. And it's funny. So today is the Fox Patriot Awards, which I've gone to the last couple of years. Now, I'm a big fan of this event. It's really, really cool. Got a chance to meet a lot of them the last couple of years.
I looked for you on TV last year.
Yeah, I was 2 rows up. So I had some good seats. But, it's sad because they overpriced everything, and there was really not a lot of hoopla on where to find tickets. Usually I'm on the mailing list. I never got anything for it. And then when I went to go look, it was in Nashville, which it was fine and no problem with that. But the ticket service was completely different than Ticketmaster. And the only thing they had available was the Fox and Friends cocktail party. Now it was $500 a ticket. No problem. But it's like rain or shine. Or no, I'm sorry. It didn't say rain or shine. It could be canceled due to inclement weather. I was like, man, that's kind of sad. I'm like, here, there's a loyal base out there that watch Fox programming. And it's like, I don't know, maybe I just didn't get it. Oh, it was an oversight on my part, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Am I looking too much into this, or is it pretty sad? Or what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think you're looking too much into it, because like you said, you've been doing this for years. So this is like a well-oiled machine at this point. So for that to happen, I think they changed their platform, or they obviously raised their ticket prices. But I don't know. I'm slowly. I don't even watch them that much anymore. I don't watch hardly any news. So it stinks, because I know they put on a good event and you really had a great time there. We would speak when you were there, and it was awesome from what I saw from you. And yeah, it makes me sad to see that it's not on that level anymore. It seems like it's like lowered the bar a little bit.
Yeah, and I remember going to the Hard Rock and paying $20 for a Mick Ultra when I could have got 2 6-packs for it.
Now, is that 500 all you could drink?
I see. That's a good question. I didn't know.
Because they will lose money with people like us. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to make a point of getting, I don't want to pull a Joe Namath, because I probably
I was
would.
once cut off from all inclusive on day one. Day one.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow.
So yeah, I was in the
I sh-
Bahamas. Yeah.
love the Bahamas. Where in the Bahamas?
Um. Phew. This was sophomore year of college or junior year. What is it? Paradise.
Paradise Island.
Yeah, that was it. We also crashed a jet ski, but that's for another day.
It's a lot of fun. Love Paradise Island.
Hmm. Yeah.
Well, this kind of bleeds into a lot of our bleeds into our topic today
Yeah, it
about
does.
trust. About trust. So, like, trusting news sources.
Yep.
Obviously, every American faces that challenge of trusting a news source. Who's reliable? Who's not reliable? Who's fulfilling propaganda? Who's on the up and up? So,
Who's bought and paid for?
who's bought and paid for? So
The
trust.
Rock. Sorry.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. I was like, oh, there you go. I thought it was like Vivek said Michelle Obama was going to be shot out of a cannon in August, but maybe
Michael
The Rock
Obama.
will.
Michael Obama.
Well, I don't know. I don't know much about that, but
Allegedly.
moving on. There, Greggy T.
Yeah, bring it.
What does trust mean to you?
It's a good question. It's also very hard, in my opinion, and it means different things, I think, in different stages of your life. So now, being the age that I am and having a family and all that, it's just trust is, to me, when I can lean on somebody with no judgment, no questions asked, and they are going to deliver what they say they're going to do. They back up, they walk the walk. Basically, I can trust them. If I need something, I'll trust it'll get done. They'll do it. And if they say they're not going to do something, I can trust that they're not going to do it. So it means a lot to me. It's always been a very heavy thing for me.
Do you feel that people just talk a good game these days?
I think people have always talked a good game, but more so now. I think people are just more oblivious now, and they want to keep their head in the sand because they don't want to know the truth, and they just want to initially trust. We can go into it more, but like our parents' generation, they
Different.
trusted the government because that's what you did, and you didn't have any really reason to doubt them as much. And look at it now. I don't trust anything, anybody, what they say, because most of it is all bullshit and lies. So that whole narrative has changed, and that's just the government. And we can take it to other areas as well. It's unfortunate because, like doctors, the medical field, you trust what your doctor used to say to you. I don't even go to the doctor that much anymore because I do my physical or whatever, but I'm not doing all these other extra things. A lot of them just want to write the prescriptions. People don't know they get paid for that. The more prescriptions they write, the more money they make. And they just want to create a dependent society on pills and meds.
Yeah, and going along those lines there, Greg, how do you think social media has played a role in people's perspective of trust?
It's enhanced the skewed optics of everything because I just had this discussion with our boy Justin last night. Social media seems to a lot of these young kids, even people our age, they believe everything that they see and read. A lot of people get their news and their information from social media, which blows my mind. That's really scary, actually. They don't do any of their own due diligence or homework. So it's wild to see it. And I think it's really diluted the whole area of it. It's not good.
Yeah, I
What do
agree.
you think?
Well, I mean, for one, social media definitely provides that false narrative. Like you
Yeah.
think someone's so happy, or even people that complain about like, oh, I can't find anything, or men suck, or women suck, or this or that. It's like like no one cares like you about
Yeah.
your opinion. And then you get like the desperate people come out of the woodwork. So it's like, oh no, Mike, you're a 10, or no,
Yeah.
Greg, no, oh, she was a fool to get rid of you. You know, so it's like
Yeah.
it kind of, and then you create false expectations, and there goes, oh, I trust this girl, I met her on Facebook Messenger, or oh, I trust this girl, I met her on Instagram, oh, I trust this girl, I met her on Bumble, when you know I've never met this person in real life. So I think it creates a narrative in someone's mind, which leads to a false trust narrative, which can often lead to disappointment, I feel.
Yeah, and I listen to Andy Frisella a lot. If you guys don't know who he is, you should check him out. He's actually the owner of First Form. It's a great supplement company, but he said, he did in one of his posts, you have to be careful when people go out seeking this attention on social media with all this fake shit, the lifestyle, the cars, the whatever. You're going to get labeled a victim, and then it's hard to get that label erased from people because they're going to look at you a certain way. Oh, poor Mike. Oh, Mike's a victim. When maybe you pulled yourself out of this and you're crushing it in life, you now have to take extra time to get rid of that stigma and that label that you created searching for all of that attention, being a victim. You see what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
what he said really resonated with me, and it's true. I believe in that 100%. You have to be careful with that. It's a fine line.
I agree.
Yeah.
Especially now with so much, people can access you so easily now
Yeah,
as compared to years ago.
of
And
course.
along those lines, so Greg, how do you give your trust to someone, and how do you gain someone's trust?
I'm the wrong person to ask for this. So we touch upon this, I believe it was last episode. I start at zero with trust with everybody,
Hmm.
and I build up if it goes in that direction. So, and I said I'm happy to do the same thing on their end. Like I will earn and build your trust. I know a lot of people start at 100 and then allow it to get chipped away. It's just a preference. I don't do that. So I was taught like respect is earned. Same thing with trust with me. Time and you earn it.
Yeah, I tend to be a little like excited to meet someone or think, oh, this person's
Yeah.
really cool, yada yada yada. We've had nice dialogue. They seem
Hmm.
like a good person. They seem
Yeah.
like they've got good intentions, and then it slowly erodes away. All right, one strike, two strike, three strikes, and once the trust is gone, like it's no going back for me. Once I close the door, it's kind of done. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
cool, like no hard feelings, but like just why bother?
It's a hard like you and I talk about this all the time with young ladies and young women and older women that you meet. It's like, just be real. Just be honest. It's not that hard. I'm probably not going to give a shit, or you're probably not going to give a shit. We all have pasts. Just be honest with me. It's okay.
Right?
Everyone is afraid to be honest because of
Because
judgment and the social stigma and oh, that's not appropriate in society. Meanwhile, 90% of people are in that boat. They just don't want to, they're afraid to say that. And it just wastes a lot of time.
I agree. I agree. And especially when you do meet a girl, I know years ago, you could be more free in your language and express.
Maybe you. Definitely not me.
It was a friend of ours.
Yes, a friend of ours.
A friend of ours used to have no fear talking to one, two, maybe multiple groups of people. And nowadays you kind of have to watch certain things because you could have your hands behind your back in cuffs, as our friend once told me. But do
Yeah.
you think men trust too easily when they meet a girl?
I think yes, to answer your question, but I also think it's on the shoes on the other foot as well. I think women and girls tend to believe, right, because they want. I think both sides want to truly believe in the other person. They want to believe in that, call it a fairy tale or the dream or the the notion that they're both good people and they were on the same page. We want the same things, and that just that whole storybook. Oh, we're dating, everything's great. I think they're both seeking that, But I think, yes, they both, in my opinion, trust too easily. In my opinion, everyone should earn it, and it will save both people a lot of time, heartache, and headaches and emotions if instead of waiting 9 months for the truth to come out, maybe the truth will come out in like a month or two. So in my opinion, that's good because you didn't waste 6, 7 months there. That's just me.
What advice would you give a guy or a girl for that matter to avoid that trap, that false trust trap, let's say?
It's hard because back in the day, we would run like background checks because we all knew certain people and oh, have you heard of so and so? Let me ask somebody, and then in an hour I'll know their shoe size and everything. So we used to do all of that back in the day, just just to like screen them almost. Nowadays, I mean, listen, you got there's still part of it where you have to take a leap of faith. You have to.
Agreed. You
And
gotta try.
and time tells all. So I just think you go in with an open mind, but also I don't want to say have your guard up where you're not yourself, but just the foot's not all the way on the gas. It's just like halfway there. Not saying it can't get there, but just be weary and, but also it's a fine line because you also don't want to be a saboteur and wait for something to happen because it might not happen, which is a good thing. So you don't want to over anticipate things because that can screw up your head and it doesn't give that other person a fair shot. It's very hard. It's very
I
hard.
agree. And I think too, I think common denominators play a role in trust. Like if we have the same friends or we have the same beliefs, the same ideologies, and then you see you cross reference. So it's like, oh, okay, well, this person knows that person, so they must be cool. And that kind of provides a false expectation
Yeah.
because on an episode that I want to do, it's called I Don't Owe You Anything. Right. So it's like we often tend to categorize people like they owe me a text, they owe me a phone call, they
Yeah.
owe me this, they owe me that, when they don't owe you a four-letter word that begins with S, has a T on the ending, and an HI in the middle. They don't. I don't like you. They don't owe you anything. They don't owe us
No.
anything. They
No.
don't owe us a return text. They don't owe us a return phone call back. I mean, if you're dating and it's your relationship, it's like, honey, where are you? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But it's like in the beginning, you have that trust and you have that excitement, and if they don't respond back, they don't owe us. They don't owe us anything. Just like
No.
I don't owe you anything. So I
Mhm.
think it's very, like you said, it's a very fine line,
It's hard. It's a hard thing.
and you have to be able to delineate between the common denominators, who that person is,
Yeah.
and where you are. It's like where you are at your relationship, whether it's friends, whether you're escalating, whatever it is. Then you've got the common denominators, and then you have values, and I think you have to break them down.
And also, I'll say this, I'll include you in this, like our boy, we've also been on the other side of things where we've seen things and we were privy to a lot of things that I'll say the normal guy doesn't see with dating somebody or being interested in somebody. So we know what I don't want to say darkness because that sounds so heavy, but like what darkness or what conniving things women can do.
Oh yeah.
So it skews the trust. Now I'm grateful to have experienced and seen it. However, it does taint and put a heavy weight on somebody that you're trying to get to know because you've seen and experienced some of the great times, fun times, but some of the worst, darkest shit. And you want to go in with an open mind, but you also see what we're using women as an example, what women are capable of. When you think they're home baking a cake and they're in Montauk at Cyril's
Tum
or in
tum
Tao or
tum.
whatever. I'm just saying,
Or they're in Las Vegas.
or they're in Vegas on a Wednesday night. So, just saying, that's a weird column to add to that, and it's for me, it really made it hard for people I was trying to get to know,
Yeah.
just because.
And we've also known people like men that would do things, and you
Of
would see
course,
it,
Of
You would
course.
see it, like, I mean, I've seen a lot. Unfortunately,
Mhm.
I've been privy to a lot of people who had affluency, who had some type of notoriety, who had certain stuff going on,
Mhm.
and it was leveraged to kind of like, they weren't happy in their situations, or they just, and listen, like, I don't judge because I'm not in that situation.
Yeah, not
I
judging.
I don't judge anybody. I really don't. I know what
Mhm.
works. I know what I'm looking for. I
Yeah.
know how I am, and I just stay in
Mhm.
my lane. So believe
Well,
me.
let me flip it on you.
Yeah.
Does what we've seen and experienced, all of us, our group of friends in our 20s and 30s and 40s, does it make it hard for you to openly trust when you first get to know somebody?
No. And I'll tell you why. Like you said, people are going to show their true colors, and I think as you get older, you have that experience behind you. I'm not going to stop being me for anyone. And it's either going to work or it's not going to work. You're either going to
Mhm.
put a square. You can either put the thing in the right shape in the right spot, or
Mhm.
you can't jam a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah.
So I think for me, because I have in the last 2.5 years tried to become more Christian and
Yeah.
walk that light, it makes things kind of easy now. It's
So
like,
that's what's helped you, but what about prior to that? Did it ever
right,
come in where you had that little voice in the back of your head like, "Well, I've also seen this before and
yeah, I wasn't
experience."
surprised. Like, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, whatever. I mean, if it were, I don't like back then when you got rejected, you're like, oh, F you. Like, oh, now it's like, oh, well, I don't know what that person's going through. I don't know what they've got going on. I wish them well. Like, there's no hard, like, life's
Even
too
not
short for hard
rejection
feelings.
though, back before you found faith or started your faith path, when you were just getting to know somebody, like dating or talking, was that little voice in the back of your head, where you had or did you have any trust issues based on what we've seen and experienced?
Well, I think you, above anyone else, knows my dating history.
Mhm.
And they've been complete two Amtrak trains going on the same track at 180 miles an hour with no brakes.
Mhm.
So, unfortunately, I never stuck around long enough to get to that point. And the times that I did, they were just so. Um, I in the Yeah, that's a really good question.
I asked because it did for me, so I'm just curious
Yeah,
because you and I have experienced pretty much a lot of the same shit.
you were smarter in a way because you made girls earn it. I gave it out too quick because I was eager to find that void that I was looking for. I was talking to some people at my I had a church group last night, and it's my
Mhm.
last class. And we talk about like the whole like I've always had, and I think I've said this, I've had a hole inside my heart for years. It was
Yep.
like it's like seven. And
Mhm.
I tried filling it with alcohol, with sex, with other things, like other things that could just like, all right, and then wouldn't last long. So I would give my trust out too quickly because I was so eager for that.
Mhm.
And you've mentioned it, and other of our friends have mentioned about some of the bad habits I had in that regard. Where I admire you so much, and you've done the right thing, is that you made people earn it. And now that I'm older and I'm in a different place, it's like, yeah, I trust you, but like, I'm not going to give it to you all the way.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I went all the
No.
way around.
No, it makes sense.
I've had 3 cups of coffee, like yay big.
I'm drinking a pre-workout right now, it's fine. I'll
Boy,
I'll I'll catch up to you in 5 minutes.
my
Oh, by the
left,
way,
my
my Rise coffee came today, so I'm having one tonight. I'll let you
oh,
know.
let me know how it goes. I want to get that.
Yeah, I will.
Well, hopefully, it'll stop my leg from shaking because I've had 3 cups and my left leg can't stop shaking. No, great. See, that's a great point, man. It's a great time. It's a great thing that guys need to be. I think a lot of guys, in particular, aren't open about this
Yeah.
because they tend to bottle it in or like, I don't need that. F that. I don't need a girl and this and
It's
that.
it's so hard. I still battle with it, not with my wife, but
Right.
just in general. I just because of everything we've seen, and I don't want to go into detail or anything, but we've seen a lot, all of us. We've experienced a lot. We've had
Yeah.
so much fun. I would not change a thing.
Right.
But it comes with a price, and the price is you see how people can act when they're not supposed to do certain things.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it
And
hardens you. To it's hard to deconstruct that where it doesn't always stick around when you're meeting somebody, or oh, that my friend, like she's a good person. Like when you tell me you meet somebody, I immediately like, okay, well,
Right.
let's see them earn Mike Gallagher and what you're worth. I always say that,
Yeah, you've been saying that for years, and I'm just never
because
good
I
at it.
don't trust because of every fun thing we've ever done. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny now at this phase of life, it's like, well, you already know certain things, right? If like you don't have faith in your life, it's probably not going to work.
It's like a gift and a curse, knowing and doing what we've done.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think like it smartens you up. I think because I
Yeah.
think a lot of, I'm not saying this to, I think a lot of girls in particular will sleep on someone like myself who, I've always been the same guy, but my intentions were different years ago. Now
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
so they're like, oh, he's a nice guy, he's this, and that. But like, I think they tend to sleep. They tend to sleep on me because and
Yeah.
that's fine. Let them sleep on.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all good, man. But like, I ain't stupid. I've been
No.
around. I know things. You know.
Yeah. I hear you.
So, and I'm not telling every guy that they should, sleep with half Manhattan or Vegas or Miami or Montauk or, um, I'm just moving on. How do you know in your heart when you can easily trust your partner? Like when you met your wife, like how did you know? What was that moment for you where you could just trust? Like, you know what? I trust my wife. I trust Jason 100%. Like what was that for guys out there? Like when do you hit that pivotal point? Like when you tell her that you love her, or like what is that point where you can fully trust?
I don't think it's when we said we loved each other. I think it was after that. Because people also, and we're not going to get into this, but I think people say that too soon, in my opinion,
I agree.
because they want that, and that's cool to want it. I'm not hating on it. I think everyone should find it and have it, but that also is earned, and it's a two-way street, and you can't force that. So I don't think it has anything to do with saying that, but I can't, there wasn't like any specific scenario where I'm like, okay, now I trust her. It just built up over time where, she delivered on what she said she was going to do, and she just didn't lie. And neither did I. I mean, it's a great question. I can ask her too. When did she eventually trust me? I think it's just, there's no pivotal moment that sticks out in my mind, but it just built up from 0 to 100. It just did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know it's a lame answer. That it just built up. There was no one thing.
Not at all. We talked about this like way back in the beginning
Yeah,
about that emotional equity, right? Putting
yeah,
those deposits in the bank, and
yeah.
next thing you know, you collected
Hmm.
interest on it. I mean, that's
I
really
know.
awesome.
I mean, we were together a while at this point, but when my father passed, and I'm usually the one that's like calm, cool, and collected under pressure. Like, go to Greg, go to Greg. He'll figure it out. He'll do it. That one time, I was like blank. I didn't know what to
Gross.
do. I was like frozen. And she was in Vegas for Magic because she's in the fashion industry. And I was going into the dentist. It was like 8 in the morning. It was early, so you can imagine what time it was in Vegas. She picked up, and I told her what happened, and she was super upset. But I remember her asking, "What do you need me to do?" And I said, "Just get me to Florida." She goes, "I'll call you right back." And that was the conversation. She called me back. She's like, "You're on the 11:30," and I didn't pack shit. And she's like, "I'll catch up with you in a couple days. I'll bring all your shit down." And I remember I was like a robot, like Uber to JFK to West Palm Airport, and it was just like it was like, to this day it was like I was like a drone. I was just like, okay, airport, flight, airport, home. And then I called our girl Cynthia down in Florida, and it was super nice of her on the whim. I'm like, yo, I need a ride from the airport, and um she lives down south in like Fort Lauderdale area. My mom's up in Hobe Sound. That's far. No questions asked. She called. She goes, just let me know your flight info. She was there. She drove me there. No questions asked. Like, that's trust also.
That's super cool. I mean, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I remember that call. I left my
Yeah.
desk. I come met you down in the village. I think you were down in the village.
Yeah.
I was working. I left. I told my boss I'm back in a few hours. I
Yeah.
couldn't. Yeah, that was a real shock. But yeah, it's times like that
Yeah.
where
That's when you find out.
that's when you find
Like
out
who's
who
in your
you can.
corner, and no one has 100 people in their corner. I don't care what
No,
anybody says.
no.
Nope, nope. There's a few people.
Yeah, that's wild, and that's really I think for any guy out there, like there's always maybe an event or a happening that
Yeah,
you really where you're up against the ropes and who's going to be
yeah.
your corner man, who's going to get who's going to be there for you, who's
And
going to pick you
speaking of
up.
trust, this reminded me, like a lot of people battle with, can guys have friends that are girls, and can girls have friends that are guys?
Mm.
I personally think yes, because I have some friends that are girls. That's all it is. Those are my homegirls, and that's that. And there's none of those feelings there. So, and I know that's a big cause for concern for a lot of people, both guys and girls. Like a lot of guys don't want their girls to have guy friends, which I understand because there are, I don't want to say predators like on that level, like pedophiles or anything like that, but there are guys that will creep in that friend zone
Of
to
course,
do what they have to do. So I understand that. And same for girls with guys.
of course,
But I think you can have girlfriends and guy friends.
yeah.
That's my opinion.
And I agree with you. I was never under that impression because I always felt there was always some type of tension. There had to be some type of a attraction there
Yeah.
for a guy and a girl to be friends, just because we're so opposite.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older and more mature, I've come to realize that you can be platonic. I never thought it could be like that. I was like, all right, well, let's get this out of the way and then we can be friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was the mindset back then, but as you've evolved and you've gotten
Yeah.
older, I do believe you can have
Yeah.
girlfriends. Like my friend Robin. I've been knowing
Yeah.
her about 15, 16 years. I don't
Yep.
talk to her all the time. When we do talk, it's like, hey, what's going on? It's your family, and there's nothing
Yeah.
there.
Same with Cynthia. I used to ride motorcycles. We were in the same crew for a long time. I can call her tomorrow and answer something. She can call me too. And, she's married and I'm married. It's all good. It was never like that, but it was always that good, close friendship. I mean, we've traveled together. We've done a lot of things, and it was strictly platonic.
And I think you and I are under the same notion. At least I am. If a girl's going to cheat on me, I'm not going to stop her because
No,
I
go
got better
ahead.
things.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
Go ahead.
Just God bless you.
Yeah.
I got other things I'd rather focus on because I know what I do and I know what I don't do. And it's
Yep.
like a lot of guys worry about their girl, like they become controlling, possessive. They got to know their every move.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very simple. Like you go out, great. Just let me know you got home safe. That's it.
Yeah. But it's something so simple is so hard.
Yep. Good morning. Have a great day. Good night. That's all. I don't need to have a.
That's that chivalry also, which we spoke about, which is dying because these younger kids don't do it anymore, but they also weren't taught that. So it's not all their fault because their parents don't do it. So it's a whole generational decline.
Yeah. And it's very simple. Like I'll shoot you a text, but if I don't hear back from you,
yeah, that's it. I'm not.
that's it.
No,
I don't
it's all good.
chase. It's all good. Like, you got your stuff going on. Great.
Mhm.
All good. But like at the end of the day, I think a lot of guys will keep pushing and pushing and pushing until they
But
get a response.
do you think we're like that because of all of our experiences? I think that plays a role in it.
The way we are now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How we don't care if you don't return a text or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Because it's like,
Okay.
why waste my time on someone that doesn't want to talk to me? Because if they
Yeah.
wanted to talk to me, they would have. Let's face
Exactly.
it. People live for their phones. These things.
It's a choice. It's a choice, man.
Hey, even if you can't text, like something.
Mhm.
Greg liked my message. Hey, bro, sorry I can't talk in the middle of things. No problem, man. You'll talk to
Yeah.
you later. Just acknowledge it.
There's
You know?
there's no way not to communicate nowadays. There are so many vessels just to, like you said, shoot a text or do something. And if you
Yeah.
don't, that's fine. That's fine. But that's right there to me is a red flag, but that's just me.
And you and I are busy as all heck. You know what I mean? But even if it's like,
Everyone's busy,
hey,
yeah.
I have been really bad lately forgetting to respond because I'll look and then I put it down. Next thing you know, I'm doing, and then it's like, oh crap! Like I had coffee with a buddy of mine and I forgot to return his text. I saw him at church on Sunday. I said, yo, totally my bad. Let's get coffee. I made a point of it, apologized, but I took ownership of it.
And I'm sure he understood.
Yeah, he's an entrepreneur up over here in Boynton. So like when a guy meets a girl or a guy's courting a girl and they don't hear back from them, they don't owe us anything because she's not my girlfriend. It would be nice to get something back, but also too, like a guy will push because they need that thing to hold on to. That like,
well, they also that
she got back to
validation.
me. That validation. That's exactly.
But there's also, not to defend the guys, but there's also a level of respect that I think some of the girls don't do. And if somebody says something or good night or good morning, I mean, it's not that hard to say thank you. We're not, it's
just be consistent. If you text me every morning, hey.
Once the consistency gets weird, something's up. Just
exactly.
saying.
Oh, of course. And it's like, listen, I'm up early. If I text somebody at 6 a.m. and I know you're sleeping, some days I'll do it, some days I won't, depending on, hey, I'm running out of the house. But I always, when I do text you 3-4 hours later, I'll always say, hey, sorry, didn't want to bother you, or I ran out of the house. Like there's always, because I always try to respect the other person's feelings, especially if there's, but I like people that are consistent. Once you lose that consistency with me and you start yo-yo.
Yep.
So good stuff here, Greggy T.
Yep.
Good stuff, Greggy T. All right, moving on.
Trust is hard, man. Trust is a hard one.
Yeah, and especially because we have had life experiences where if a girl violated my trust, like, yo, you cheat on me? Cool. Have a great life. I'm not. Will I be upset? Sure. I'm not gonna let you see it.
Yeah.
Because but instead of doing something destructive, now I'll do something constructive.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it'd be like, let's go to the bar.
It's on. It's on.
It's on, right? And we've all heard that adage: the best way to get over someone is to get under someone. That's what I've heard.
Allegedly.
That's what I've heard. Allegedly, I had a friend of mine told me. Good friend of mine. Greggy T, here's a good one for you. We all make mistakes, obviously, right? There's no one that's perfect. Well, I have walked across the Atlantic Ocean to Banana Boat here in Boynton a couple of times, so
we used to take the bikes there.
The Banana Boat's awesome, isn't it? Shout out to Banana Boat. When is it not appropriate? Forgive someone who violated your trust. And when someone violates your trust, is it possible to get that back?
Tough question. I'll answer it now, being the age that we're at. It's not up to me to say if it's appropriate or not. I think you have to feel it inside you. If you think it's appropriate enough to forgive them, then do it. If you're getting that feeling, you should listen to it and explore it and speak to the other person and maybe hash it out or talk it out or explain why you feel a certain way that trust was broken. So I think if it's inside you, go with that. I don't think there's a definite appropriate or not. It's just if you want to clear things up, then attempt to. Maybe they don't want to, and there's your answer. That's fine. But maybe they do. Maybe it was just some silly misunderstanding, or maybe they just flat out fucked up and they fall on their sword and they own it, which is fine. That's cool too. So I think it's an internal thing with you. The second part of that is, you said, and can you get the trust back? I think you can. It just takes time. I think they have to earn it back. I think it's like the old typewriters, like that you start at 0, you went to 100. They messed up and bring, it goes back. So you got to start. If you give them the opportunity and they want that opportunity, then let them earn it. I think it can happen. I think people can I don't want to say change, but I think people can learn from a misunderstanding or breaking somebody's trust, or maybe they needed to learn that lesson. I don't know.
And I agree with you. I think you really put that very, very well. I'll also add too, I think, when someone violates like my trust, I can forgive that person, no problem. Like I forgive you, no problem. But I tend to put you in a category. I put you in a bucket list. So I forgive you. I'm not going to forget what happened. It doesn't necessarily mean I want to be friends with you again. But hey, I respect you. Bless you and your family. All good. Live your life. Do the best you can. But I'm going to keep you at a distance. And like you said, maybe in time that trust can come back. You're gonna, but in the back of my mind, you're gonna wait for that because there's always a saying, like especially when it comes to like men and women, right? Once a cheat, always a cheat. Right? I've heard that. I think you've heard that. So in that regard, it's like okay, no problem. I'll bring you back in, but like it's really bad. Like you'll wait for that person to screw up again. It's not like you want them to screw up, but you're expecting them to screw up because of again what you've seen.
And that's justified because you went through it with them. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It happened. So you can't disregard that. It's got to be in your mind at some point.
Right. And that's where you really, I think you have to feel it in regards to, you know, feel where they fall along that line of trust. You know, are they at a 0? Are they at 100? Are they at 50? Are they at 20 working towards a 30? So that's a great way you put that, Greg.
And going back to, I thought of another example when I knew my wife trusted me. I mean, she was my girlfriend at the time. We were dating, living in the city, but tied up by Phil called on like a Thursday night or Wednesday night. I think it was a Wednesday night. And he's like, "Hey, what's up?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's going on, man?" He's like, "Yeah, be at the airport tomorrow at X time." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I need a favor. You got to bodyguard somebody." He told me who it was, and I said, "I have to ask the boss because of who it is." He goes, "I totally understand. Call me right back." And I called Jason and I said, "Hey, tied up by Phil called," and she loves Phil, and he needs a favor. And she's like, "Okay." And I'm like, "There's good money in it, but I have to babysit bodyguard this person for 2 nights." She goes, "Oh, who's the person?" I told her. And she didn't really know who she was. And then I knew she was Googling her as we were talking. And that long pause.
Of course.
And I'm like, here it goes. I'm like, 3, 2, 1. She goes, "Oh." She goes, "Yeah, do what you got to do." So I knew right there, like, yo, no, it was all good. Trust, because certain people know that I did that. And some of the girls like, "Oh my God, you did that." And they're all like, they take it to this place where it's not like that. This is more of a business trip. And it wasn't all business. I mean, this person, I'm not going to name her name, but she basically almost died, got her domestic violence, got her face smashed in. She almost got killed. So she was doing doctor visits. So I had to take her to the doctors, and she had to have all reconstructive surgery on her face and her teeth. And he fucked her up bad. He went to jail. He's still in jail, but she had death threats. So I had to take care of that. But just quick story, that was a trust thing that stuck in my mind, where she had trust for me because most people wouldn't, especially considering who it was.
Yeah, and speaking along the lines of business, I guess maybe you can kind of elaborate with that experience. How do you know you establish trust in a business relationship?
I think it's kind of the same parameters as a friendship or a relationship. Now you're just dealing with specifics like business and finances and bank accounts and all of that. So it's almost like it's just the same thing, just in a different outfit, if you put it that way. And same thing. I mean, people that you can trust in business and that you can't. Same with me. And it's with the business thing, I think it's harder to not forgive, but I think it's harder to go back if they ever wanted to do business again, or because when you mix money with this now, it kind of adds another element to it.
Money is yes.
Yeah. So
Yep, 100% there, Greggy T.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great call. And I think one thing that's very sensitive to me, I'm sure it is to you, is trust with kids, right? So with your children, obviously your girls, you're the protector, right?
Mhm.
And there's probably a single father out there or a guy who kind of messed up listening to this, which I hope, because I'm hoping that we can help that person shed some light on their situation.
Mhm.
How important is it as a parent to earn the trust of your children?
It's huge. It's there's so many layers to it. So number one, you want to earn their trust, that you want them to come to you no matter what. If something bad happened, God forbid, or maybe they need help with something or whatever it is, you want them to come to you where they're not going to feel like chastised or they're going to be in trouble or yelled at or anything like that. You need that open door no matter what, because that'll transition when they're older to really, when they need something, they know they can go to you, no questions asked. You know, a good example of this real quick is my parents growing up trusted me at a young age. Very, I'm a guy, so it's different than if you had a girl. Maybe you're a little bit more protective, which I understand, but I never had a curfew in like high school. But I also knew not to be out till like 3 a.m. There's just nothing going on in high school, 2 or 3 a.m. except bad shit. So I knew to be pretty much home. So they knew I knew that. They allowed me that rope and I didn't hang myself with it. I just used it. And they always said, because where I'm from in Westchester, we used to go to the city at bars, and there was a lot of bars in Riverdale and also in like White Plains that we went to, and in Rochelle, where I'm from. And underage thing it was a big thing back then. That's what we did. You go to bars. No big deal. My parents knew this. And they also said, listen, if you're going to go, we know you're going to go to these places. We don't want you to go. But if you do, just tell us. And if you ever need a ride or your friends need a ride, we don't care what time it is. Just call us. I never had any issues. And they always knew where I was because, number one, that's safety. And I think it's really important nowadays. But you have to establish that early on, which they did. So I'm hoping to do the same with my girls, because it paid dividends, because I pretty much stayed out of trouble for the most part. Till I met you, Mike. And you almost got me arrested in my own hometown. That's great. Thanks.
Yeah, I felt bad a few times. I got over it after the third time. I'm like, well, yeah, they were some good times.
Oh, yeah.
And lastly, Greggy T, you put the icing on the cake here. What are your thoughts on society as a whole? Here we are, 2023, appropriating. I agree, especially with things going on. It's nuts. How do you think society, take social media aside, we've got, obviously, there's still trying to divide us. There's still a lot
They'll
of
never
things
stop.
going on.
They'll never stop.
Until they get what they want, which is full control. Greggy T, how has society eroded trust amongst people? You mentioned about the government, but how do you think society has affected people's ability to trust
each other
in general?
I think it's society, in my opinion, this day and age in this country is going downhill. It's going downhill fast.
Agreed.
And it starts at the top, because there's no true leadership. There's no good examples. And then it just bleeds into, federal, state, and then it goes local, and then like hyper local in your cities. And it's just, if there's no leadership at the top, how can you expect it to be okay at the bottom? You can't. And with all the disinformation and misinformation, because they're different things, that's all that's out there. Now add in social media information, which you could take with a grain of salt, and just add in the people that they're pushing on these shows and pushing in society, these influencers and these actors, which it's just a mess. So the smart people don't trust anything. And the sheep, I hate calling them that, but until you prove me wrong, you're a sheep. They just go along the path and they're oblivious to everything that's going on. They're oblivious until something happens either directly to them or to their family member. Then they usually wake up. But it's a problem. I think society is not good, and it will take a long time to correct it. The longer this goes on, it's going to take at least twice as long to get it back. That's what people don't understand. This isn't an overnight fix. Somebody great wins 2024 election. It's not flicking a switch. You got to clean up the mess, which takes it takes years. Then you got to put in, hopefully, policies that'll pass. That's another hurdle. And when those get passed, that's more years till they, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Look how long it took them to clean up New York City. It took at least 8 years. At least.
They got a long way to go in New York City, boy.
And so that's just New York City. So imagine now the country. A long way to go.
Yeah.
And Tim Kennedy said something cool today because I like him. He was in New York for something, and he was back. He lives in Texas, and he was drinking a cup of coffee in the back of his truck because he was going shooting. And he goes, I paid $2 for this cappuccino, which is delicious. I was in New York last week. It was $10. He goes, why in the world would you live there? And then he goes, which I understand, and I know you get it, but you'll appreciate what he said after this. He goes, don't come to Texas and vote like you did in New York. People come here for a reason. Don't ruin it. Same with Florida. You all escaped these shitty cities and these shitty areas to go to these nice places for a reason. You went there for a reason. And now you're going to try to vote to make it. What do you think is going to happen? Those will eventually become shitty if they keep winning. So he made a good point, and I know you would appreciate that.
100%.
Because you say it all the time. Don't come to Florida and ruin it.
I know why I'm here, and I know how I vote. Our friend Chris just moved here. He hit me up last night. He's in St. Augustine. Came here for the schools.
Yep.
So people come here because they want a better way of life. And
that's it.
I would not be upset if Florida said, you know what, we're going to become our own country. Yeah. I would not be at all upset if that were the case. Greggy T, any final thoughts on trust? Any final things you want to add? Anything that we missed, you feel? Or we pretty much covered all bases?
I think we covered a lot, and I just want to stress that it's hard to, almost like ignorance is bliss.
Right.
You know, if you don't know certain things, maybe you can go through life and trust a little bit more than somebody like you or I, but it's a hard thing to battle when you've experienced a lot. But like I said, I wouldn't change any of those experiences.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm glad I've seen what I've seen, even some of the bad stuff, because it makes you smarter and more aware. It's hard to trust. It's very hard. You just got to find your inner way with it. And if you feel a certain way, then go with it. And the best thing to help somebody trust is open communication, but real communication, not rainbows and ice cream. You got to just be real. Just what you and I said before, like, just be real. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. You're dating 10 other guys. That's cool. Just tell me. It's okay. Like you said, don't sleep on me. It's okay. So.
Yeah. And I think too, you and I are very transparent. We don't hide anything. So sometimes people can listen to this and be like, oh, these guys are this, but you know what? We're just very transparent, and these are our thoughts, our opinions, and our experiences.
But that's why people like us. That's why people respect us. And when they know they get an answer from us, they know it's real, whether they want to hear it or not. We're going to be honest with you. And I think people respect that. At least that's what they told me about us.
Well, you know what I call that, Greg? Forever progress.
Yeah. Forever progress.
Give us an update. How's it going?
It's going well. Drop the YouTube channel, Forever Progress. I'm doing short episodes on my experiences and ideas for the real estate, for new agents and also experienced agents. And obviously the Instagram. So check it out. Forever Progress, YouTube, Instagram, and foreverprogress.com. Happy to help.
That is correct. You see Greggy T in a different light. And Greggy T, if anybody that's
more professional.
New, it's a little different getup. No doubt. A little bit. And Greggy T, if anybody wants to reach out to us, drop us a DM, give us some feedback. Where can they find us?
Just hit us up on EmpowerMAN Podcast on Instagram. Just DM us there. Check out the world's greatest bio, Mike's bio on EmpowerManPodcast.com. We're on all the platforms. Just hit that subscribe or like button. It really helps the algorithm so we can get in front of more people. More and more of you are reaching out saying they enjoy it. And we have a lot of good guests lined up for 2024. We're just trying to get everyone scheduled. We have everything from, we have a couple women entrepreneurs that are going to be awesome. Super excited to have them both on. And we have some special forces guys coming on. We have a whole bunch of people from different lives coming on, because that's what we're about. We want everybody's perspective and opinions. So we're super excited. Can't wait to have that.
100%. And Greggy T, next week is Turkey Day, Thanksgiving.
I got my peanut oil. I'm frying my turkey. I got everything ready.
I'm fired up. I got my wine coming in tomorrow.
Nice.
Wine, and I'm making some Hendrick's Gin martinis.
We are going to inject our turkey with some seasoning, and it's not testosterone, Mike.
What kind of turkey is that, man?
I want like Cajun seasoning. I don't think she'll be down for that, but whatever. We'll figure it out.
Well, we'll dive more into that next week, as we'll be filming probably before Thanksgiving. So, Greggy T, another great episode. You know, definitely a challenge.
It's a big one. This is an important one for everybody for different reasons. So
yeah, and we just give perspectives from men, women, and just our experiences. And
that's
I think there are a lot more people like us out there than we realize.
Absolutely, 100%.
So, Greggy T from DeSantis land, I am bidding you adieu and good night, my friend.
Have a good one, Mike, and rip those communist flags down in California, please, and burn them. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.